Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, April 12th. There's almost 400 albums coming out this week. I got 14 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's almost 400 albums coming out this week. I'm only going to talk about 14 on the show today, so if there's something I miss, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up this week. And like always, if you're unable to find any of these in your local brick and mortar stores, they should all be available online. I'll put links down below in the comment section for them. So I think the big release this week is going to be the new album from Beyonce. I know this got a digital release a couple of weeks back. It's getting a vinyl release this week. This is Cowboy Carter. It's her 8th studio album. It's going to run you about $34 online. There's several different variants of this. If you go on her website, I think there's at least 4 that I saw on there. You know, it's a 2 LP release. This is one of those albums where, you know, I think it's okay. I think it's a good album. There's definitely some stuff on there I can do without. There's some really good tracks on there. I really do love her version of Blackbird on there. Her version of Jolene, I know a lot of people are loving it out there. I'm not a big fan of it, though. So this is the second in a 3-part series of albums that she's doing. This is the follow-up to Renaissance, which came out back in 22. I was kind of the same way with that album. I thought it was a really good album. I wasn't blown away by it, like a lot of people were out there. I know there's a couple record stores in my area that are doing sales for Record Store Day. Maybe I'll grab this on sale next week. But like I said, there's multiple variants of it, so I'm sure there's going to be copies to go around of this one. You know, I will say the one thing I will say about this album, I know a lot of people are billing this as a country album. This is not a country album. There is definitely country influence on this album. There's also R&B influence. There's dance influence. There's other things on this album. And, you know, I think it's kind of a typical Beyonce album. It is, like I said, really good album. I enjoyed a lot of the tracks on here. We'll see if I grab a copy of it. I will say that, you know, I think this album is going to win a bunch of awards, like most things that Beyonce does. So you got that coming out this week. And then you get this Eagles to the Limit, the Essentials collection coming out. This is a new 6 LP compilation. These are all tracks from, I think it's 72 to 2020. It's going to run you about $150 online. You know, I'm a big fan of the Eagles. I have all their studio albums, so this is one of the things I can kind of pass on. So this is 51 tracks across their career. The cool thing about this is, yes, it has all the big tracks that you know from the Eagles. It also has some less-known tracks on here. It's got a bunch of live stuff on here. I think there's 15 or 16 of the 51 tracks on here are from the several live albums that the band has done over their career. You know, it's a cool album. If you're an Eagles fan that you know, doesn't have everything from the band, you know, it might be a cool one to look at this week. There's one big jazz release coming out this week. This is Harold Land, The Fox. This was released back in 1960. It's part of the Contemporary Records Acoustic Sound series. It's going to run you about $30 online. This is a fantastic series. I think these are really kind of close to what Blue Note does with the Tone Poet series. Comes in a nice deluxe tip-on jacket. These are all cut by Bernie Grunman from the original analog tapes. They're pressed at QRP. They sound absolutely fantastic. I'm not familiar with this album, though, but like I said, because of the strength of the other releases from their series, I've got a couple of them already. They always sound great. This has a really good lineup on here, though. You get Dupree Bolton on here. You get Elmo Hope, Herbie Lewis, Frank Butler. Like I said, it's got a good lineup. It's a good series. I'm not familiar with the album. I love a lot of jazz music, though, so it's definitely one I'm going to check out this week. And then you get this Linkin Park Papercuts release coming out this week. This is a new compilation of singles from across the band's career. It's going to run you about $40 online. It's 2 LP release. There's multiple variants on this album, so you can kind of, I know there's indie exclusive also. I think they kind of missed the mark, though, because of the album cover. I would like to see them do like a kind of neon green vinyl. I know a lot of people out there don't care about that kind of stuff, but you know, it's one of those things that I kind of enjoy because, to be completely honest, I already have all their albums. So if I'm going to grab a compilation, I need something kind of extra to make me want to grab it. So the difference is with this between, you know, if you already have all their albums, the thing you're kind of getting with this, there's a new track on here called Friendly Fire. It was recorded during the One More Light recording sessions, was never officially released. The band decided to do all this and put all this together because of the strength of their Hybrid Theory and Meteora box sets over the last couple of years. There was a huge fan response for both those releases. So the band decided, let's put all this together. Let's do a compilation of all of our singles from across our career. I think I forgot how many tracks on here. There's 20 tracks on here. So you're getting a lot of music, $40, we'll see. Maybe I'll grab a copy of it. You got the new album from Girl in Red coming out this week also. This is I'm Doing It Again, Baby. It's her second studio album. It's going to run you about $27 online. If you're unfamiliar with Girl in Red, you get the new album from Girl in Red coming out this week. This is I'm Doing It Again, Baby. It's her second studio album. It's going to run you about $27 online. If you're unfamiliar with Girl in Red, she's a Norwegian singer-songwriter. Debut album came out back in 21, I think it was. Met with a bunch of praise. I think her album hit like mid-60s on the Billboard 200. I think it was like 66 or 67. Hit number 8 on the Billboard alternative charts. I saw her open for Taylor Swift last year, and I was really blown away because I'd never heard anything by her before that. She did a great job. Her band did a great job. It's definitely an album I'll stream and check out this week. And then you got the new album from Mark Knopfler coming out this week. This is One Deep River. It's his 10th solo studio album. There's multiple variants of this going to be available. I know there's a black version. I think there's another one. I know there's an indie exclusive. The indie exclusive is on baby blue vinyl. It's going to run you about $46 online. This is a 2 LP release. Of course, Mark is known for his great work with Dire Straits over the years. He's forged a really great solo career, though, and this is I just recently started getting into his solo stuff, probably within the last 6 or 7 months. It's definitely what I'm looking forward to. This is all, cut at Abbey Road. It's a 2 LP release at 45 RPM. It's half-speed mastered. You know what I always say about Abbey Road half-speed master stuff, though? I always wait until it gets released. I'll look on Discogs, see what people are saying about the sound quality of it, because I think some of the sound quality is kind of hit or miss with a lot of these Abbey Road half-speed mastered albums. But, I'll definitely check it out this week. There's a reissue of Tearing at the Seams by Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats coming out this week. This was released back in 2018. It was their second studio album. It's a 2 LP release. It's going to be on bone vinyl. It's going to run you about $33 online. I'm really only familiar with their self-titled debut album, which is really good. If you're not familiar with their albums, they're kind of like this, it's like a mix of some rock and some Americana. There's some folk in there. There's some R&B influence on there. Some really cool stuff. Like I said, I enjoyed the first album. I just don't know why I never went through and checked out anything else that they did. This album met with some really high praise. Hit number 11 on the Billboard 200. Sold a bunch of copies. It's definitely one I need to go back through and check out this week. And then you got the reissue of The Stranger by Billy Joel coming out. This was released back in 1977. It's his 5th studio album. It's going to run you about $35 online. So back in, I think it was 22, they did a bunch of releases for the 50th anniversary of Billy Joel's career. I think they're all Walmart exclusives also. But they've slowly been trickling out some wider reissues, getting a copy of The Stranger. This is one of my favorite Billy Joel albums. Absolutely fantastic album. Probably one of the best things he did, especially in the 70s. It's I got the Walmart exclusive, so I don't need to pick up a copy of it. But if you need a copy of it, be a good one to grab. So I think one of the bigger music on vinyl releases this week is going to be this Days of the New 3. It was released back in 2001. It was their 3rd and final studio album. 2 LP release. It's on black vinyl. It's going to run you about $48. So the interesting thing about this is typically when music on vinyl does a first release for an album, it's typically on colored vinyl. It's typically limited, but they're not doing that with this. Typically what they do is they'll release the limited version, and then several months later, or maybe a year later, they'll do like a standard version on black vinyl, have that wider release for it. But they're kind of doing that. Kind of skipping that first release for this one. But it's a good album to go back through and check out. This is an album that was really kind of interesting because when this was recorded, it was supposed to be released back in 2000. And then the band, gave the album to Interscope. Interscope didn't like large parts of it. Brought in a new producer. They re-recorded a lot of the album. They remixed a lot of the rest of it, and ended up releasing it. And I think it is a good album. I think it's probably the second best album that the band did. But it was released, I think, 2 weeks after 9/11, and it really wasn't pushed out the way that a lot of albums by Interscope had been previously. And there was a lot of stuff that kind of played into it. And then there was all this turmoil between the band and the label, and I think it kind of led to being the last album from the band. But like I said, it's a good one to go back through and check out. $48 is a lot in my opinion, but you can grab this on CD for a lot less than that. So you got that coming out this week, and then you got the reissue of Transgender, Dysphoria Blues by Against Me coming out. This was released back in 2014. It was their 6th studio album. 10th anniversary release is going to be on blue vinyl. This is a really cool album. I think this is one of the best albums, one of the best punk albums of the 2010s. If you're unfamiliar with Against Me, they started out in the early part of the 2000s.
Reinventing Axl Rose was their first album. They had a lot of really good success with that album. Kind of some of their albums are kind of hit or miss for me. And then around, I think it was 2012, the lead singer came out as transgender. A lot of the stuff on this album is, kind of, has a lot to do with her life and her transition through music and her response from other people. And like I said, it's a really cool album to kind of go back through and check out if you're not familiar with it. There's also a reissue of the self-titled debut album from America coming out this week. This was released back in 1971. It's going to run about $38 online. This is on turquoise vinyl. It's a Friday Music release, which Friday Music does a really great job with their reissues. They become one of my favorite reissue labels. Them along with Music on Vinyl do a lot of really great stuff. All their albums always sound great. So this was a reissue of the release that Friday Music did January of last year. It was in celebration of the album's 50th anniversary, which I know was 2 years prior to that. But hey, you never want to miss the opportunity to release an anniversary release. I know there were delays and things like that caused it to get backed up. And this album kind of was released really in 71 and 72. So A Horse with No Name was the big album, or the big song off this album. It wasn't on the original 71 release. It wasn't until 72 when it got reissued. So I guess, 50th anniversary of the 72 release was 22, and this album didn't come out until January 23, but whatever. It is a really good album. I think it's the only album from America I've ever listened to. I can probably pick up a copy cheaper than that. I can probably grab a used copy for less than $38, but, it's one that if I can grab a copy on sale somewhere, I probably will. So you got that coming out this week, and then you got the new and final album from Blue Oyster Cult coming out. This is Ghost Stories. It's their 15th studio album. It's going to run you about $27 online. This is really kind of interesting because I'm not a big fan of re-recorded stuff or reimagined stuff. I know it's been kind of a growing theme over the last several years. But what the band is doing with this one, this is just reimagining of a bunch of other of their biggest tracks. There's also some like lost gems from across the band's career. There's a cover of "Kick Out the Jams" by MC5 on here. Like I said, it's one that I'm not the biggest Blue Oyster Cult fan. I'll stream it at least and check it out this week. Then you got a reissue of the third and final album. I don't know why there's so many final albums getting reissued this week, but this is from Babes in Toyland. This is Nemesisters, released back in 1995. It was their third album. It's going to be on purple vinyl. It's going to run you about $39 online. This is another MOV release. This one is limited. It's limited to only 750 copies. So it's going to be I think it's going to be pretty hard to grab. If you're unfamiliar with Babes in Toyland, they're an alternative rock band. They're from Minnesota, formed in the 90s. Released some really good stuff. I think this is the only album of theirs I really ever listened to, though. So that's coming out this week. Like I said, music on vinyl releases tend to be kind of hard to grab. If you're interested in a copy of this, I would definitely recommend trying to order a copy from Europe because they're pressed in the Netherlands, I think. So it can sometimes take a while before they reach the U.S. and only being limited to 750 copies, it might be a pretty hard one to grab. I will say that with this album, they recorded it live in studio or are all together in the studio to try to have more of a live album feel to it. So like I said, it's the only album of theirs I ever listened to. It is a really good release though. Then you got Flotsam and Jetsam live in Phoenix. This was released back in 2005. Recorded in 2003 though. It's going to be on orange vinyl. It's going to run you about $28. There's 8 tracks on here. I mean, if you've never listened to Flotsam and Jetsam, they are a blistering thrash metal band. I'm not the biggest thrash fan. There's a couple of good tracks from the band. I'm not sure if they're on this release though. I guess my thing is with this one. So there was a DVD that was released back in 2019. Had 5 additional tracks on there. If you're going to do the release, I mean, I would say just add those extra 5 tracks on there. I would like to see them do a full release of this entire album. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're picking up this week. A lot of really good stuff. I'm definitely going to grab that Herald Land, I think. Some other stuff, I got some question marks next to. I'll definitely stream that New Girl in Red. I'll go back and check out that Nathaniel Rateliff album. Maybe that America album. We'll see what I end up grabbing this week. But let me know what you guys are interested in. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.